There you go. Ready?
All right, big news as far as the NBA is concerned. Earlier today, we learned that the Golden State Warriors were going to play their game on Thursday against the New Jersey Nets without fans. That order coming basically from government city officials there. They didn't want any big public gatherings, so that was done. So then the NBA, Cam, held a conference call with all 30 teams to discuss how they would handle scheduled games and business going forward. Well, what they decided to do was just do like the Golden State Warriors. They would play all of their games without fans because they feared that one of their players would get the coronavirus. They would have to completely suspend everything. Guess what happened, Cam? Rudy Gobert, Utah Jazz center, testing positive for coronavirus. The results coming in just prior to their game tonight against Oklahoma City Thunder. So the league now forced to do what it didn't want to do, completely suspend all operations, all games played. So no NBA games, Cam, for the foreseeable future.
Coop, it's kind of, today's felt like a blur. It's felt like one thing after another that has kind of transpired today, whether it involved the NCAA tournament, we'll get to that in a moment, whether it involved the Pac-12 tournament, we'll talk about that too as well, whether it involved Major League Baseball and possibly the Mariners, that too as well. But yeah, the news just coming down really within the last 10, 15 minutes, the NBA is kind of halting and suspending the rest of their season. The scene in Oklahoma City tonight was truly unbelievable to watch on TV. It was right before tip-off. Literally, the referee had the ball in his hand. They were about to walk out to mid-court, throw the ball up, here we go. And then all of a sudden, according to ESPN, this is what the Thunder beat reporter said on ESPN. He said the Thunder medical doctor came rushing out of the tunnel, ran right toward the referees, said something to the referees, pulled both the coaches together, said something to both coaches, and then all of a sudden the referees gathered back together. The players were then asked to leave the court. Fans were then asked to leave the arena. In fact, the PA announcer, when he was announcing all this, he said, "Everyone is safe. You are all safe, but please leave the arena in an orderly fashion." And then, of course, the news coming out that Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus. He's at a local hospital right now. Also, we just kind of learned listening to the broadcast too as well that all the teams right now are quarantined. The Jazz and the Thunder too as well are quarantined at the arena right now. They have not left the arena. Meanwhile, all this is going on. There's another NBA game going on right now between the Nuggets and the Thunder. The Nuggets and the Mavericks right now.
NBA, now those games had already started, so there's no need to stop them. So the NBA has said that all games scheduled to go on today, except for the one in which Rudy Gobert tested positive for, will be played after today. That means that there are no more games. And so, and for the foreseeable future. And look, this is exactly why the NCAA took the stance that it did. No fans allowed, because they fear that they would have to, if one of their players or coaches tested positive, that means they had to shut down everything. And that's not what they wanted to do. Well, Rudy Gobert testing positive just forced the NBA's hand.
It was interesting. I was thinking about just some stuff coming in, and that was kind of one of my thoughts, is like, if a player in any league tested positive for this, I thought that would immediately end their season. Right then and there, no questions asked, you'd be moving on. Coop mentioned the NCAA tournament. It's been a wild day for college basketball. In fact, these are just kind of the things we've put together on the lists of things that have gone on this week that have transpired in different leagues all across the country for basketball too as well. As the day has gone on, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, and Pac-12 tournament have all said they're going to continue playing their tournaments this weekend, but they will do so with only essential personnel in the building. Some families, some team staff, some broadcast guys who've got to work the camera and stuff like that, but really no fans at all welcomed in those tournaments throughout the rest of the weekend.
Look, Cam, it just ties in with what we're talking about. They just want to limit any exposure at all to this virus. And if it, again, gets into a player or a coach, the whole tournament's wiped out. As it stands right now, we'll be able to watch the games on TV. Now, this is uncharted territory. I mean,
I was just going to ask you that. You've been doing this a lot longer than me, and you said something that kind of made my skin stand up a little bit, because I was trying to think of this too as well. Like, when did we have a day like this? When did something like this happen? Our executive producer, Jeff Snyder, standing right over there, he's been doing this 40 years, worked at ESPN, and he's shaking his head no. I'm shaking my head no. Coop, you're the same way.
First time in my lifetime that I've even experienced anything like this on a global, because I was going to say a national, but this is a global thing.
President Trump coming out banning the travel to Europe too as well tonight.
Right. Just based on what's happening in Italy. I mean, look, it's getting to the point to where when I first heard about the coronavirus, I wasn't too overly concerned. I figured that the great scientists and doctors around the world would be able to get a handle on it, but they are very concerned, and if they're concerned, and we've reached this area right now, then yeah, we should all be concerned.
Yeah, of course, the NCAA, they're not allowing any fans at all in the men's or women's upcoming March Madness NCAA tournaments, the Pac-12 tournaments, really all the basketball tournaments going around. They've been affected too as well. What Coop was talking about earlier, and the Warriors, earlier in the week where they were talking about not having fans in attendance too as well. That was an order put out in the city of San Francisco, also in Santa Clara County, where they did not want any gatherings of larger than 1,000 people, I should say. So no sporting events in the city of San Francisco or in Santa Clara whatsoever. The Coyotes are scheduled to play a game at San Jose at the Sharks on March 29th. That game will be played without fans too as well. We're still waiting to hear word what the Giants are going to do. Their exhibition game has been canceled so far inside the city of San Francisco. Later on this month, they could stay here too as well. The Mariners have already come out today, the baseball team out of Seattle. They said they are not going to play their opening weekend games in Seattle the rest of this month. They're looking for a place to play. Arizona's been talked about too as well. There's a lot of moving parts to this, Cooper. That really is going to affect every league.
We're getting some people on our Facebook asking the very questions about opening day. How's that going to affect baseball and things like that? And of course, we don't really have an answer for you at this point. Because baseball hasn't come out and said anything. But I think that this thing involving the NBA and Rudy Gobert is really going to be an eye opener, because it's what every league, every team does it. Yeah, that's what they fear the most. Yeah. One of the players, coaches are contracting this disease, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Major League Baseball push back its season as well. Yeah. And we had someone else too, because as it relates to the Phoenix Suns, as you know, their season was set to end second week in April here, and of course they have a new renovations taking place at the arena, so the Suns were looking to get those things started right away.
As soon as day ends here, renovations start here.
By pushing back the season, who knows? They could suspend it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It's going to affect what the Phoenix Suns were planning to do with that building going forward. So it affects a lot of jobs, a lot of people working the arenas, a lot of construction companies and concessionaires, just a trickle-down effect.
And also the Suns are scheduled to practice tomorrow. It was interesting. We reached out to their PR folks really minutes ago to comment on the suspension of the league. Haven't heard back yet, but I did reach out to them about an hour ago, asked them about practice tomorrow. As of an hour ago, they were scheduled to practice. Also, as of tonight, the D-backs are also scheduled to play a spring training game tomorrow. Spring training is scheduled to go on tomorrow. That could be something to be looked at too. The rain will go away at some point, and games will continue to be played. So it just makes you wonder if one league has done it, and I'm sure there was a positive test in one league, but if other leagues will take that same precaution moving forward.
Well, again, there's a lot of unknowns out there, and you can best believe that every commissioner, every owner, team owner, they are in consultation with the medical people, the medical experts and everything, just to get as much information as they can about this, because you can only make a decision based on what the experts are feeding you.
I did get a comment earlier, and actually one of my Facebook posts where I posted about the NCAA tournament. Somebody asked about the NFL draft because that's scheduled to go on in Vegas. It's scheduled to be right there on the Strip. The red carpet is going to be on the Bellagio fountains. It's going to be right down the street from Caesar's Palace. It was supposed to be kind of an open-air event where people could just walk in freely, literally all around. And somebody comments on one of the posts today and said, "Hey, I already booked my hotel. I got everything going on for the draft," and now we're wondering if that could be an event too as well that could be canceled.
I think
now that's late April. So far, all we've dealt with, just so everybody knows, so far all we've dealt with and what teams have come out and said is through March. Now the NCAA has extended that policy, no fans, through all other winter and spring sports the rest of the year. But as far as the pro sports, people have only come out and talked about stuff through March. So we don't even know what April 1st, April 2nd, or anything like that holds, much less the NFL draft, which of course is the end of April. Hopefully nothing goes that far.
NFL draft will start April 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and as you just mentioned, it's in Vegas. Now, I can see the draft still taking place, but what we won't see possibly is what we're used to seeing. The commissioner makes an announcement with the first pick.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins select
in front of a bunch of people.
And
the crowd last year in Nashville.
I should say the Cincinnati Bengals. They had the first pick. Joe Burrow, and Burrow walks out on the stage, shakes his hand with the commissioner. I can see all that part being eliminated. You don't bring the players unnecessarily into a large gathering or just a gathering there where it's a potential to catch the virus. So I can see that part, but I do think the draft can take place, as you know.
If there's ever an event to kind of close off, it's the draft. You could do that in a room somewhere with these guys. It doesn't have to be the media spectacle that it is now, that we saw last year in Nashville, where of course Broadway was just filled with people. So it doesn't have to be that whatsoever. If there's ever an event that can change. Now it's unfortunate because I'm sure fans were looking forward to attending that event, but if this is a precaution to keep everyone healthy, if there was ever an event where you could change things pretty quickly, I feel like the NFL draft is one you can flip the switch and change it fairly
as you know,
quickly.
the NFL draft, and I may be talking to some fans out here that don't know this, the owners, general managers, the scouts, the people who make the call on their draft, they aren't even at the draft location.
They're
in
back
this case,
here.
be Las Vegas. They're at their respective team facilities. So yeah, the draft can take place, but the biggest change will be the players at the event walking up on stage with the commissioner. If it gets to that point, look, we're just speculating right now. We could get a handle on this thing before that particular point in time, but again, the April 23rd is the date of the first round of the NFL draft.
Just to recap, the NBA suspending their season after Jazz center Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus. Coop, is the precaution that I think everyone is seeing right now. That's what we're seeing is leagues taking precaution to make sure everyone is safe and putting the safety of these athletes, of the fans that are going to go to these games, is putting first and foremost. Your thoughts on that, and that these leagues are taking these steps to keep everybody safe.
Well, look,
because I feel like that's important.
Well, look, the leagues could still play their games. The NCAA could still play
and they're
their
still
games
going to. The NCAA is going to.
If the players and coaches aren't affected, but the moment one of those players or coaches gets affected, they have to shut it down. And so far, the NCAA doesn't have any of its players or coaches that have tested positively for it. So they will continue, I'm sure, to play their games minus the fans and continue to take this. But the NBA has absolutely no choice but to shut it down, because you can't have one team playing and you have 29 other teams. No, it's not going to work that way. They have to suspend everything.
Just to recap, the NCAA tournament, no fans at the men's or women's tournaments moving forward whatsoever. No fans at any of the major conference tournament too as well. That includes the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, and the Pac-12. It's going to be a very kind of weird weekend out there in Las Vegas for ASU. ASU's not scheduled to play until tomorrow. Professional soccer, there was a player in Italy who tested positive for the coronavirus. You've out there probably all have heard what's going on in Italy. That country is almost shut down out there. In the NHL, the Maple Leafs have halted some of their travel too as well. The league and the NHL has closed off their locker rooms. Haven't heard anything about games whatsoever, but we do know the San Jose Sharks, they're going to play 3 home games in the month of March without fans. That includes a game against the Coyotes on March 29th. Nothing yet from Major League Baseball. The Mariners are looking for a place to play home games at the end of the month. They haven't said anything about where. Arizona's a possibility, but it did come out today. Bob Nightingale was reporting the MLB wants them to play in Major League Baseball stadiums, so that would, of course, rule out Arizona. Have to see where they're going to go to as well. The Giants could be affected. So could the Oakland Athletics. The Seattle Dragons of the XFL are going to host a game this weekend in Seattle without fans in attendance. That could be canceled moving forward. It's just all. I mean, there's just a long list of things. And all of that kind of today, which has been kind of the domino effect, is what we've seen. From this morning till now, so much has changed in this country, and of course in the sports that we cover day to day.
And to bring it back closer to Arizona, as you know, the University of Arizona played its Pac-12 conference tournament opener today against the University of Washington. They won that game 77-70. You saw U of A cheerleaders. You saw the U of A fans. There's all the supporters there, because they travel very well. Well, all of a sudden, they're going to look and see tomorrow's game against USC. They're not able to attend that. So they'll likely just have to stay in like maybe their hotel room, or maybe go to a casino and watch the game there. But now ASU has some travelers coming up today in Las Vegas, set to go and watch their first round game against the winner of Washington State and Colorado. They're not going to be allowed inside now. So everything's changed. Kirsten Susel is in Las Vegas. With
if you were planning on traveling to Vegas or out there in Vegas and now can't go to the game, contact Kirsten. I'm sure she'd like to hear from you guys.
She'll bring us a report tonight on 12 News at 10. So make sure you tune in and watch that for the very latest. And so
the most important thing, people, is that this is a precaution to keep you safe. Now, the reaction on social media, some have called it an overreaction. Some have been very upset to hear some of this news. But just remember, if these precautions are to keep you safe and to keep your kids safe, your family members safe, that's the most important thing at the end of the day. You could not like it, you could not support it, but at the end of the day, they're doing this to keep you safe. And if that's the root of all this, which I believe it is, then that's okay.
It is. Look, it's a huge leap to call this being overreaction.
Yeah. But there's some that do it.
No, well, look, when you have an institution like the NC2A that's willing to lose money, that's
a lot of money.
That's not an overreaction.
NBA too as
that's
well.
Not a real. That's being cautious. Because they'll gladly take your money.
They'll
gladly take your money. And we're talking about the gate, concessions, parking. They'll gladly take your money. But they're saying, stay away. We're going to lose that part of our resource to keep you safe. So it's not a real overreaction. It's clearly a precaution.
We're going to keep tracking kind of this story here as the night goes on. We're going to see if the Suns practice tomorrow, if spring training continues tomorrow. This guy will be on the desk tonight, 10 o'clock. Kirsten will check in with us from Las Vegas. What's the deal out there with the Pac-12 tournament? All that and more tonight on 12 News at 10. Thank you for watching.